Okay guys, today we're going to start reviewing for STAAR. You are going to need your Flipping Out with Percent STAAR review worksheet. If you still have your percent foldable, that would be a great thing to get out as well. And a pen or pencil and a highlighter if you have that available. Okay, so let's start with the first question. Stanley takes out a loan so that he can purchase a used car. The bank gave him an interest rate of 6.5% for 2 years. If Stanley accrued $600 in interest, what was the total amount of his car loan? So right now I see that they've given me interest, and I'm looking for the total. So I'm going to go to my foldable, and on the back is my interest. And I know I have the formula, I equals PRT. Remember that I is your interest, that's the money that you have paid, or the money that you earned. P is your principal, that's how much you borrowed or how much was invested. R is your rate, and remember your rate, it's really important to write it as a decimal. And T is your time, and time is in years, so make sure you write it in years. Alright, so what they're asking for is the total amount of the loan, and they've given me the interest. So I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to write in my little thought bubble here, I'm given interest. And I want to find the principal. If I want the total, I've got to find the principal, and then I'm going to add them together, and that's really important. So not only do they want the interest, they also want the principal. So my first step is going to be to figure out the principal. In order to do that, I need my formula, I equals PRT. So if you will write that down, I equals PRT, and we're going to fill in what we know. So it says he accrued $600 in interest, so that's my I. His principal, we don't know, so we're going to leave that as a P, but we do know the rate, and the rate is 6.5%, and your foldable said you have to write that as a decimal. So 6.5% right here. In order to turn it to a decimal, I hop twice to the left. So it's 0.065. And then my time, it says right here, is 2 years. Alright, so I've got to solve for P. In order to solve for P, I need to multiply this. So I am going to do 0.065 times 2. 2 times 5 is 10, so write the 0, carry the 1. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Write the 3, carry the 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And don't forget you have 1, 2, 3 decimal places here, so it's 1, 2, 3 here. So 600 equals P times 0.13. Now, in order to solve for P, I have to do the opposite of what I see. So these are being multiplied. The inverse or the opposite of that is division. So I'm going to divide by 0.13. So 600 divided by 0.13. And I know that I cannot divide by a decimal, so I'm going to have to hop that decimal place over twice on the outside, so I hop twice on the inside. So now I have 13 being divided into 60,000. So I'm going to start, 13 can't go into 6, but it goes into 60 4 times. 4 times 13 I know is 52. Subtract and get 8, bring down the 0. 13 goes into 8 6 times. 6 times 13 is 78. Subtract, get a 2, bring down the 0. 13 goes into 20 once, which is 13. Get a 7, bring down the 0. And it goes in there 5 times. And it keeps going, but we're going to go ahead and stop because it does keep going. So I've now found the interest. So in my thought bubble, that's step 1. My I is $4,615. Or not my I, I'm sorry, my principal. So now I want to find the total that they asked for, the total amount. So I need to add. So in order to find the total, you're going to add your principal plus your interest. So I know that my principal I just found was about $4,615 plus My interest that they told us was 600. So when I add those together, I get $5,215. So Stanley's total loan that he has to pay back is $5,215. Okay, step 2, or question 2. Yesterday the temperature was 80 degrees. Overnight, a cold front came in and the temperature dropped to 54. What percent did the temperature drop? So when I'm looking at this, I'm talking about something changing, so I know that that is percent of change. So write that in your thought bubble. And let's go to our foldable. If I look at my foldable, I need to find percent of change, which is right here. It should be your second one. So percent of change tells me to set up a proportion. And I'm looking for the percent. What percent? So I know that's going to be X over 100. And my foldable says to put my original amount on the bottom. So what was the temperature originally? It was 80. And it changed. It went to 54. But the top of my foldable says I want the amount of change, the difference between the two. So 80 minus 54 is 26. So now I have 26 over 80 equals X over 100. So before I cross multiply, I want to go ahead and simplify. I know both of these are divisible by 2. 2 goes into 26, 13, and into 80, 40. Now I can cross multiply, divide. So I'm going to do 13 times 100 equals 40 times X. Now I know 13 times 100 is 1,300, and 40 times X is just 40X. And then these are being multiplied, so the inverse of that would be division. So divide both sides by 40. And what's great here is that those zeros are now going to cancel out. So I need to divide 130 by 4. 4 goes into 13 3 times. So that's 12. I get a 1 and bring down my 0. 4 goes into 10 twice. That's 8. I get a 2. I have to add a decimal and bring down a 0. And 4 goes into 25 times. So my percent of change is 32.5%, and it was a decrease. So my answer is a 32.5% decrease. Okay, next question. Number 3. Anna and three friends went out to eat. The food bill totaled $32. The girls then left a 15% tip and split the entire bill equally. How much did each girl pay? So when I'm looking at this, I see that they had a bill, then they paid a tip, and then they split it. So I need to be careful here. So if I want to know how much each girl paid, the first thing I need to do is find the tip. So write that in your thought bubble. Find tip. Then, because tip is increasing my bill, I need to add my tip to my total. And then I need to divide. And you need to be careful here because it's Anna and 3 friends, which really means divide by 4. So, I know I'm going to have a couple different steps here, so I just need to make sure I follow my thought bubble. So if I go to my foldable and I look at tip, tip is the last one. I'm going to put my tip that I pay over the subtotal in my bill equal to percent over 100. So when I set this up, I know that I paid a 15% tip. So percent over 100 goes there. And the subtotal that so far of the bill is 32, so that goes on the bottom. I'm looking for that X, the top of that, which is the percent. So I can simplify a little bit here. I know that 5 goes into 15 3 times, and 5 goes into 120. So that makes things a little better. And I'm going to cross multiply. 32 times 3 equals 20 times X. So 32 times 3 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. So 96 equals 20x. And again, I need to use inverse operations here because 20 is being multiplied by x, so I want to use the opposite, which is division. And I'm going to divide 96 by 20. 20 goes into 96 4 times. 4 times 20 is 80. Well, there's 16 left over, so I need to add a decimal and a 0. So this works out nice. 20 goes into 168 times. And because it's money, I'm going to add another 0. So my tip is $4.80, which is the first step in my thought bubble here. But I'm not done. They also paid that $32, so I need to add 32 plus $4.80. And watch your decimals here. You need to line them up. So that gives me 0.863. So the total bill was $36.80. But the question didn't ask for the total. It asked how much each girl paid. So because there were 4 people, like we wrote in our bubble, we need to do $36.80 divided by 4. 4 can't go into 3, but it goes into 36 9 times. So 4 times 9 is 36. Bring down the 8. 4 goes into 8 twice. Don't forget your decimal there. Bring down the 0. 4 goes into 0 0 times. So each girl there paid $9.20. And that would be your solution. Alright, go ahead and flip your paper to the back. Don't forget, you can pause the video anytime you want. You can go back and replay. Okay, the back of your paper, number 4. Gabby went shopping for a new purse. She chose one that cost $48 and was happy to find that she had a 20% off coupon in her wallet. If Gabby also had to pay a 7.5% tax rate, what was the total cost for her new purse? So she's got a purse. She found a coupon, so she gets a discount. So in my thought bubble, I'm going to write discount. And then I'm going to write subtract next to it, because I know that a discount saves me money. But along with her coupon, her 20% coupon, she also has to pay tax. So then I have to write tax, and I know that tax means I'm going to add that on there. So I have 2 steps here, so I'm going to divide my workspace into 2. And I'm going to worry about the discount first. So if you will go to your foldable, find the one that says discount or sale. And so when we set this up, the amount that you saved goes over the subtotal of your bill, and that's equal to percent over 100. So, do I know the percent right now? Yes, that's 20. That's the easy part to figure out. The subtotal right now, the cost of the purse is 48, so that goes on the bottom with X above it. I'm looking for that part, the amount that I'm going to save, the discount. So I need to cross multiply divide, but before I do, I see 20 and 100. I can cross off the zeros. And then I still see that they're divisible by 2, so 2 becomes 1 and 10 becomes 5. So that made things a lot easier. Now I can cross multiply and divide. So it's 48 times 1 equal to 5 times x. Well, 48 times 1 is just 48. And 5 times x is 5x. And I'm going to have to divide. I want to do the inverse of that multiplication in order to get x by itself, so I need to divide. So on your paper, do 48 divided by 5. And 5 can't go into 4, but it can go into 48 9 times. 5 times 9 is 45. So I'm going to subtract and I get a 3. So I still have a leftover here, remainder, so I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. And this